Coaches, what's going on? Coach Ian Tatum here, back with Coach Rapanick, and today is episode 3 of the Counterculture Podcast. And today we're going to be talking about a multitude of things, predominantly going to be about game planning, different things like that, scouting, call sheets, scripting, stuff like that. But we're gonna get into that a little later. But for now, Coach, how you doing, man? It's midway through the week, and we've made it halfway.
That's right. That's right. Like we talked about last time, man. Every Wednesday is nice. I know these don't come out on Wednesdays, but it's a good deal to help break the week up a little bit. Next thing we know is Thursday, and then we get a little bit of a break. So, but yeah, everything's been going well. How you been doing?
Good, man. It's like we were talking a little bit before the show started. Just testing, it's that time of the year where you get your check-ins done. So a lot of my coworkers are stressing, and I'm kind of sitting over here with social studies, living the life. So,
That's
um,
right.
but yeah, but it's been good. A lot of stuff going on this week. Namely, National Signing Day is today. Like you will be watching this on Monday after signing day, after the Super Bowl, which we'll get into this in a second, a little bit. So on National Signing Day, um, Coach, talk to us a little bit about how special that is. A National Signing Day. If you've had guys that have sat at a table and gotten to sign a piece of paper and do something special for them. How important is that kind of for at least culture?
Yeah, I mean, I've been blessed to have some kids that have had the opportunity to be able to play college football. Um, I think what it does, I think it kind of proves, especially if you're there for a while, it proves, to the rest of the program, the rest of the kids that, you can be from wherever that school is and still get the opportunity to play college football. So, always a very, very exciting time, in my opinion. I love the recruiting process, as far as helping high school players out and all that stuff, get the opportunity to play college football. But it's always cool to see that. And honestly, it's kind of an emotional day for me because you look at these kids who have put so much time, so much effort, so much work into being the best possible version of themselves to be able to get the opportunity to play college football. And now all that stuff is coming to fruition. So, it's always really cool to be a part of. I think being somebody who did not play college football or anything like that, um, it kind of shows how small the percentage of people are. To have a school where you may have one kid or a school where you may have two or you may have none. And then obviously there's situations where you see schools that have multiple kids signing. So it's always a good time. It's always exciting to see, like who's signing where. Obviously like the pick the hat deal has gotten kind of crazy in my opinion, but it's been a really cool thing in my opinion to see how all that stuff unfolds.
Yeah, we don't have anybody right now that's signing, but some of my former players are signing to play some places, and regardless of level, if you're going to play at the next level, it's special.
Absolutely.
With the D1 or bust culture that's out there, it's so unrealistic, and especially now with COVID that has pushed things back, and
Transfer portal.
with transfer portal and NIL, it's kind of pushed things back. It's even more unrealistic now. Like
Yeah.
you got to be the top of the top to do that. So at any level, to go play college football, is special. So definitely be able to praise that. And
We could have a whole episode on that.
yeah, yes, we probably will just one on just recruiting and
Right.
how jacked up it is right now. But
Yeah.
yeah, it is special. But um, just we want to talk about a little bit about that. Just touch on it because it's something that's happening today. But before we get into the whole episode, Coach, real quick on the fly, who you got on Sunday?
Oh man, it's tough to go against Super Bowl game and play all Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
I will say that I think it's going to be a really tight game. obviously. The whole playoffs have been, but I really, really like watching the 49ers play, but it's tough to go against Patrick Mahomes. It's tough to go against him and Travis Kelce. The things that they got going on. I think the only potential issue is I think it's going to come down to how Rashee Rice plays because with Tyreek Hill, they had this whole 1-2 punch of Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. Obviously, now that he's gone, he's gonna have to have a big game.
Yeah.
And I think I can't remember the other tight end's name. I think he's number 84 for the Chiefs. He's gonna have to have a big game too.
Yeah.
But
Really good.
they're both so good at football. So I'm excited. I think it's gonna be a really good game. Obviously the 49ers are loaded. They don't have Patrick Mahomes. They don't have Andy Reid. So it's going to be interesting. Really, really enjoy watching both teams play, though. Who do you got?
Oh, 49ers, 100%. Like, I'm not, for those that don't know me, like, obviously, I'm a Ravens fan. So this take is not because I'm salty. I cannot stand the Chiefs just for my own reasons. Like, we have a buddy that is very obnoxious. And if he watches this, Carson knows that he is very obnoxious when it comes to the Chiefs. And so it has kind of killed all drive and motivation even to think about them. And just, winners, eventually you will get hated on. That's just how it works. And so, same thing with the Patriots. Same thing with the Golden State Warriors in basketball when they were going to do their thing. Success breeds, hatred. So,
that's right.
I'm going for the 49ers. I know that Brock Purdy gets a lot of hate and he's holding them back. Can't be holding them back too much, and they're in the Super Bowl. So
that's a fact.
And I know, like Shanahan is such he's a great play caller and designer and all those things, and he kind of just makes it easy on the quarterback. Well, that's what you're supposed to do as a coach. So I'm not hating on it. My thing is, since I'm a college football guy first, I remember when Brock Purdy was doing this thing at Iowa State before like that thing went down. And they were still decent at Iowa State, but I remember when they were winning 10 games and everybody wanted to go to Iowa State and learn the 3 safety defense. And Iowa State was winning games. And so Brock Purdy was a pro prospect. So he's not some dude that just, even though he was Mr. Irrelevant, he's not some dude that, well, we just gave him a shot and it worked. Like the dude can play some football. So
he had 2 or 3 big time drives the last couple of weeks. So I'm looking forward to it. Now, I will say if I got to pick like who I want to win, I would rather have the 49ers win.
Yeah.
I really would. But who I think is going to win, I don't know, man. It's tough.
It's hard to bet against them.
Yeah. It's a tough call.
And I love Andy Reid so much, but I would love for him to retire and Kelce to retire, and then it just goes down. But anyway, usually I'm always rooting for the NFC team in the Super Bowl just because I'm a Ravens fan. But yeah, the Super Bowl, I don't care what somebody's politics is as president of the United States. You could believe in aliens, and you can believe in some crazy stuff. I don't care what your politics are. If you make the Monday Super Bowl a national holiday, we can have it off.
Voting. No question. No doubt about it.
That's like
even a half day. A half day, 2-hour delay, something. Now, I will say, shout out to the NFL. The game's at 6:30 this year. To me, that makes a big difference. I've liked that the last couple of weeks they've played at 3 and 6:30. So, I'm happy with that for sure. But we could swing that Monday after the Super Bowl. We'd be in big business. Or play it on a Saturday.
Yeah, the college is no longer playing, so Saturdays is open. And don't only hear nothing about college basketball. They have the whole month of March. That's their time to shine.
That's
a fact. So
and I mean they played a couple NFL games on Saturday this year.
Exactly. Yeah.
Why not one more?
Exactly. So let's get into the episode a little bit. So game planning. It's one of the most important things that you're doing, and really it's something you spend most of your time off the field doing each week.
Right.
Watching film, breaking it down, scouting, getting tendencies, figuring out who best players are, who the worst players are on your opponent's team that week, and kind of something that doesn't really get talked about because it's not the flashy thing to talk about. What is your process? How do you go into it? If it's a Friday night and you got to film, and so you're going into Saturday and you're going to look at a team, kind of what is your process? What is, how do you have your staff break things down? And we're getting to talk about scouting and stuff.
So for me, the way I do it, before getting into staff, I guess,
Yeah,
I'll watch both games beginning to end. Um, I offense, defense, and special teams. I want to see like how the flow of the game goes. Um, Not really rewinding, like watching, you know, much details of plays. But I'm gonna watch the whole thing. If we get 2 games, great. If we get 3, or if I'm able to get an extra game from somebody, whatever, then I'll watch all of them. So that's how I start. And then the next thing I want to find out is how, and this is a tough thing for us, but how people are going to line up to our formations.
yeah,
So, our 10 personnel stuff, I want to know how they're going to line up to that. I want to know how they're going to line up to a tight end wing, how they're going to line up to 2 back, how they're going to line up with 11 personnel, all that stuff, the stuff that we run. And when I do that, I want to know, is it changed by down the distance? Does it change by, place on the field, stuff like that. So that's the next thing I'm doing. I'm sorting by formation, and I'm watching every formation, by itself. So if it's 2 by 2, I sort it all through that, and I'm trying to figure out everything that I can. If they're going to change in roll coverage versus, playing 1 high or 2 high, then I want to see when, why, and how they do it. And while
and
I'm doing that,
when you say sort through, you mean through huddle. You type in, you're putting in data entry on all your formations and kind of
right.
sorting through that. Yeah,
Right. So after I watch the whole thing, I kind of get an idea. And sometimes I'll write down, like, okay, play 57, they're in this formation. I can use this clip. Because there's so many times that we'll play like a wing T team and there's not a whole lot I can do with it. As far as alignment is concerned.
yeah,
So while I'm doing that, I'm looking for like any kind of matchup type things, and not necessarily like, okay, who's good, who's bad, but like, okay, if we're in trips, how are they playing the single receiver? And how they're playing the single receiver is going to determine what we're going to do on the backside that week. Um, you know, we played teams where they were bringing the outside linebacker away from the trip side all the time. So how are we going to be able to mess with that within what we do? Do we need to make an adjustment to something to be able to take advantage of that? And then once I go through all the formations, figure out how they're going to line up to it, then I'm basically just looking at matchups. Um, let me go back. While I'm looking at formations, I'm trying to see how they're going to set the front. So is the 3 going to be away from the back all the time? Is it going to be away from the back when we're in 2 by 2, and then they're going to put it to the back when we're in trips? Is there any kind of thing that I can pick up on? So that way I can call inside zone to the 1 like I like to. I can call counter to the 3 and all that stuff, and make sure that we're going to be right when we call that stuff. So really after that, then I start looking at matchups like who can we take advantage of? Do I need to move a formation around? Do I just need to move a player? Can I take a guy who's normally an outside receiver and put him at the inside? And then I kind of started to build my call sheet after that. So I liked and I tried to have my call sheet not always completely done, but I want to have it just about done by like Tuesday.
yeah,
That doesn't mean Thursday night I'm not going through and moving stuff around and stuff like that. But for the most part, that's what I'm going to do. And then throughout the week, I'm going to go back to the formations and I'm going to say, okay, these are some ready, I call them ready to call plays, meaning I don't have to think about where it's going, where the boundary is. I know I like this play no matter where we're at on the field. And all I got to do is look down at my call sheet and find ready to call whatever out of whatever formation. And then I use my top 10, my 10 favorite plays from those to make my 10 play script, which I never did until this year. But we did a lot more formation than I've ever done this past year. And I really liked it. So for me, my script was not like, okay, I know that I have to call play 1, then play 2, then play 3, then play 4. What the reason behind why I did it is because I wanted to make sure that whatever team we were playing saw as many possible formations as I could give them to confirm what we saw on tape or to get an idea of how they were going to line up to something that we didn't see on tape. So for the most part, that's really how I do it. Now with my staff, I have guys. So like my running backs coach is responsible stuff for certain parts. My O-line coach is responsible for certain parts. And then I normally handle like the coverages and stuff like that. But I'll show the sheet that we use. Share screen.
Yeah, we very similar, and I'll get into it after you show the staff breakdown. It's kind of, especially if you have enough coaches to be able to do that. There it is, right there. We're up.
So the top is plays that we like. Obviously my part is pretty big. That's like things that you can bank that we're gonna have. And then everything's color coordinated too. So this is my running back coach from last year. That's my O-line coach, and then that's me. So we go through all this stuff. How are they going to line to different formations? How are they going to line when we motion people? How are they going to line if we shift? Who's playing the quarterback on zone read? All that stuff. Who's their best tackler? Who's their worst tackler? Where do they give up the most yards? Things like that. Just basic questions. But for me, it's partially that, and then it's also partially to get everybody on the same page, right? So when we fill that sheet out, everybody knows what my favorite plays are for that week because I put them at the top of the sheet. And everybody can get an idea. And then for my play call sheet, you can kind of see like the ready to call stuff that I was talking about. So this is one from our last regular season game. And I mean, I know there's play calls on here, but you'd have to have an idea of what we're doing to be able to know. But if you look like in the gray, there's the ready to call stuff. And sometimes I'll put a reminder like how I want to line up in that formation. Tight end wing stuff, all that. And one thing that I actually saw on Twitter, and then I have like end of game stuff and different RPO tags that we'll run or whatever. One thing I saw on Twitter was to have a oh crap column, basically. They didn't give us the form or coverage or whatever the case is that we were expecting. Now I can look at this and make sure that I know, that I'm right. Yeah. There's my first 10 plays like I talked about. Let's see. And then timeouts, how much timeouts we got left. And then I got the best reminder of all, RTDB. Because sometimes I like to get a little pass heavy, believe it or not. So, and then what I'll do is like Thursday night, I give all the coaches a copy of the call sheet too, so that way they can go back and look at it, kind of have an idea of what to expect. But obviously there's times where I just take that thing and I throw it out the window because it's not what we're expecting.
Yeah. So do you, I don't know if we've talked about this before because I talked about it with other people. Do you meet on Sunday with the staff, or is it all online? Because I know you have that document right there, but do you actually meet and then fill it out, or do you just have hey guys, go get your stuff done and then fill out this document?
we fill that out is what we did last year.
Okay.
One thing that we're gonna do this fall is everybody will still be responsible for the same stuff. The only thing that's gonna change is when we go through, excuse me, on Sunday evenings, we're gonna get on Zoom.
Yeah.
So that way we're all on the same page, offense, defense, special teams.
Yeah.
Whether it's a situation where special teams depth chart might have changed, we might have had a kid get hurt on Friday night. We all need to make sure we know what's going on with that. And then, me, my defensive coordinator also, we have everything ready to go by Sunday for the most part. So that way we can kind of make sure everybody knows what's going on before Monday's practice.
Yeah.
But last year, that's what we did. And, I thought it was beneficial. I think it got to where everybody kind of understood what to expect, knew what was going to be called to an extent. But also, if we know that we're running counter and that's a good play for us this week, we need to make sure that we're using drills that are going to carry over to help us run counter better. So that, without really thinking of it, that's kind of what it helped also. So, but it gave everybody kind of a voice, quote unquote, or at least made it to where we could have an open conversation about what we saw and, different things that the coaches like that I may not have thought of.
Yeah.
So how do
Yeah. I
y'all
think
do it?
for me, things that I want inputted, at least before we get started, is formation motions. And then, and I do that because I like going through and putting all the formations in and motions. It's real simple. And then the front, the OL coach does the front, and that's me. So I do
Yeah.
that. Usually, I'd like to have the running backs coach do the blitzes. More often than not, the running back is going to be with us, with the O line, picking up blitzes and stuff like that. So have the running backs coach kind of, take that on and have pride in it. And we have a way to tag blitzes. It's nothing special, but play side are letters and then backside are numbers. So A, B, C, D, and 1, 2, 3, 4 is backside in the gaps. So we know where guys are coming, and then every linebacker has a letter. It's Mike, Will, Sam, and Jack. So if it's Mike through the A gap, it's MA. You put it on, you type it in there, and so that if it's two of them, just put a comma and put two of them, and kind of just lets me know, hey, this is where they're coming from. You're getting a Mike A, a Will 2. Like, all right, I know they're coming A, B gap. It's just, and you do it enough, I know that automatically.
Right. That's what I was about
Instead
to
of,
ask you, how you call them, because I feel like
yeah,
there's so many different, and I think we talked about this before. There's so many different ways to be able to call, blitzes, and I
yeah,
feel like everybody has a different way of doing it.
mm-hmm,
But that's one of the things that I started doing too. Was like, I'm not like that smart. That's a really good way of doing it. I just do like I think I have like Mike A and whatever. I go based off of letters for
yeah,
both sides.
mm-hmm,
But we don't see a ton of
yeah,
blitzes, honestly.
yeah. Yeah, it might be one guy, it might be two. Um, and I try to, if it's an independent blitz, which independent blitz means that if two guys are going, but they're not working off of each other, independent blitz. So Mike A, Will 2, great. Now, if they cut off of each other and they cross, now I'm gonna give it a name, right? So I need to
Right.
know if their blitz is working together. And then usually it's tied in with a stunt, and so call have different names for stunts and stuff like that. It's usually whatever the defensive line does something similar, we
Right.
call it that. Um, but we don't do that with blitzes because I just want to know specifically where the blitz is coming from. I don't care if you call it Geronimo, like I don't care. Like
Right.
just where does but with the stunts we'll do that because not that many defensive lines stunt. They
Right.
don't like once you get to odd teams they will, but
I think
it's
we've gotten like 3 stunts in 2 seasons.
yeah.
And one of them, we caught him running inside zone, and it just absolutely creased, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think that was the one time we got it that year.
Yeah. So the running backs, he'll do the blitzes. And I'll put the stunts in just because I'm doing the front. I'm watching them
Right.
anyway, so I'll just put them in there. Quarterback's guy, if he's good enough, hopefully he is. I put in coverages. I don't really teach coverages. For the most, like in the most part, with my routes, and I'll teach. We'll talk about the quarterback. Hey, cover 3, 2, 1 for all those things. But we're not being like, hey, this is cover 4, and this is what we want to do because this guy is here. No, we're reading grass. So,
right.
We're doing that. But yeah, I want to put the coverages in because I just want to see, hey, coverage to me is telling me where guys are.
Right.
So we'll have that just for scouting. And then not because I don't like them, but whoever the new guy is, I teach them down how to D&D because we don't have huddle assist.
You need to get it, man.
I know, man. I know. So huddle assist, like I've never been in a program that had it, but everybody that does says it's awesome.
I will say this: it does save a ton of time. The thing where people get, I think it hurts people, and it's hit me before, is it has stats also. And I saw it on Twitter, I think last year, and I was like, wow, okay, I'm glad I saw that. The way that it does stats is bad. So if you ever get it, do not use it for stats. And I saw it, and I actually went back and looked at a couple of our plays from whenever I saw it, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is actually true. So what it does is, like, say you run the ball and you get like 7 yards, right? And it gets called back. Say it's a 15-yard penalty, it gets called back. It gives the running back minus 8 yards. Yes.
Ouch.
So don't use it for stats, because I went to all conference with the stats from Huddle the first year we had it. And I was like, these are stats. And then a couple other people who I didn't think ran the ball that well came in with their stats. And I was like, what in the world is going on? And our kid wound up getting it anyway. But I was just like, wow, that could have been very, very bad.
Yeah.
So just a heads up.
Yeah, I heard people say don't use it for formations. Go ahead and make sure you do that yourself because it can do that. I want down distance hash and stuff like that. Like we'll put in all the rest of it, but since we don't, the new guy gets to do it, which it is what it is.
It's brutal.
You gotta earn your keep.
Like, right.
Your background, like my background. When I was a student assistant at Growing the Web.
Yes.
That was the bane of my existence. Like I will, if I can get through, not having to do it, I will never do another down distance to save my life.
Never.
Ever.
Look, I would pay for huddle assist out of my own pocket before I did down and distance again.
Yeah.
That was, and the good thing for us at ODU, and I don't know if y'all did this too, is we would just print out the box score.
Yeah.
So you could do it way faster. Guys. Yeah. But goodness gracious, it was still miserable.
Yeah, get the play-by-play. Yeah.
It was still terrible.
And don't and we would play, like D2 teams and stuff like that, and they wouldn't have the best cameras. And it was hard to tell. And there might be a play-by-play, there might not be. And then, they'd be missing plays, and you got to try and put it all together. Yeah, a lot of long nights. But, yeah, so the new guy gets to do the D&D, which for the most part, I mean, the games aren't super long.
Right.
And usually, if you have a good enough staff on both sides, they're only doing offense. So they're only doing half the game. So the defense guys can have their own defensive breakdown, have their own grunt do their side of the defensive D&D.
Whatever you do, don't go coach at Walker Town with Tatum. He's going to make you get out of the distance.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, man.
No doubt. But, yeah, so then, but I do, like I said, formations and motions, and we'll do the same thing. We used to have, you get on the board and draw out your top formations and then draw out how they align to it. And I would make scout cards, and I know you have go route, but we still
got to draw scout cards though.
Yeah.
But honestly, I like doing it.
Yeah.
I still have my bag of Sharpies with all the colors that I've had since.
Oh, so you draw them. You draw by hand in the book.
I use Huddle now. But I've always liked drawing them, man. I don't know why, but like
Yeah,
I feel like you never really know how a team's going to line up until you draw the scout card. Then it's
I feel
just
you.
confirmed.
I feel
I
you.
don't know what it is.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I get to the same thing. I do that during the week. I'll draw things and I'll get on my whiteboard, and I don't write things on my whiteboard in my classroom. I do it to make videos, and I do it to put plays. Like I have a smart board for my class, so I'll
that's
get on the
good.
whiteboard and I'm just drawing, and I'll be drawing and drawing, and it gets dirty from that. And I'll just have 20 plays. It feels like on my board, and my kids are like, "What the crap is that?" Don't worry about it. And so, so that's why I get my drawing in, because I learned that way by getting
Right.
repetition as well. But obviously it looks cleaner on Huddle, and so we'll do it that way.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with doing it by hand. But yeah, scout books are that's a rite of passage as well. Run scout team and do the books.
Look, I I typically so I do the scout cards for the scout defense.
Yeah.
And it it's way easier to draw defense scout cards, in my opinion, than offense.
Oh yeah.
But the only potential, like the only thing that, and I guess it depends on how detailed you are or how detailed anybody is with it, is like if I line up in 2x2, like spread doubles, and for 4 snaps, the outside linebacker's like tucked into the box just a little bit, and then 5 snaps, he's like true apex. Do you draw that as 2 separate cards?
No.
See, that's the thing too, is like, and I've seen people say, like, oh, well, film practice and just run plays as fast as you can and don't worry about how the defense lines up. Like, just make sure they're in the general area. Because if you play fast enough on Friday night, they may not be lined up right either. So I've been trying to get to that point. Is like, we just try and go, like I talked about before, like when we work our tempo stuff, is how are we going to be able to get as many plays as fast as we can? So I started doing it to where it was like 2 separate cards. And I was like, you know what? Like, let me just draw it and kind of halfway between apex and halfway between like tucked into the box a little bit. And we'll figure it out on Friday night.
Yeah. So how do you label all of your players on the defensive scout card? Do you do the letters?
That's what I used to do. What I started doing is I have numbers 1 through 11,
Yeah.
because if we flip, I don't know, like if we go from doubles to trips, it's easier for me to flip the outside line, or I'm trying to like process what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
To me, it's easier to follow if it's just the numbers instead of having 4 linebackers or a Mike Will Sam and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, is that what you do too?
Yeah, we do. So the only people the ones that don't move, left corner, right corner, four up front. Especially
Right.
if we're playing if we're playing a four down front. The four up front don't move. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4. And then usually 5, 6 are the Mike and Will, 8, 9 are the corners. Only ones that change are 11 and 7. Those are the ones that change. So I got to
Right.
move 11 and 7, because more often than not you're gonna have 2 corners, 4 D line, 2 linebackers in the box. So you can move number 11, which is the free safety. So you should
Right.
move those 3. Those are the ones when you get down to base defense. Those are the 3 guys that move the most. Are you going to have 2 safeties? Are you going to have a guy safety roll down into the backside alley if you're in trips? Like,
Right.
where are those guys going to move? So those are the 3 players that you're moving around constantly. And you can kind of get that as like a base template. Then you can kind of it's a little bit easier to move around, get your scout cards moving.
Right.
If you get odd front defense, now you got head up and you got to
Right.
draw the little lines from the linemen, and you can have, is this guy apex? Is he down the box? Is he splitting the difference? Is he over here? What's the other guy doing? Is he back? Is he up on the line? Are they too high? They 1 high? Where's the extra safety? Yeah.
Right.
So obviously 4 down, even front teams are better. Just got
Look, I started doing the numbers like halfway through the season last year, and I didn't even think to tell anybody. Like I just changed it. I was like, man, this could be better. Like, let's try this. I didn't tell the kids. I didn't tell like the guy who runs scout team nothing. And like, so they go to pull up the first card and they're like, what in the world is this? And I was like, just tell them that their number is going to stay the same. And it doesn't matter where their number is. That's where they're going to line up. So it took us like probably like 10 plays to be able to figure out like to make it as efficient as, in my opinion, it should have been.
Yeah.
But it was funny. They were just like, there's no corner on the page. What am I supposed to do? And I was like, well, okay, we know a little bit about football. Where is the number that is where the corner would line up? So, but yeah, I think that's, to me, it's just easier. Like you said, you know, all they got to do is find their number, line up where their number says to line up, and roll.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm in the situation of if it's an even, if it's even front and they run odd and like over and under fronts, I don't have over and under scout cards.
right.
I'll go and be like, hey, we're gonna run this. I'll tell the D line to slide and be away from the straight. It's just less work, and plus I can step in and be like, hey guys, line up in the 1 to 3 away from the straight, real quick. Now blitzes, I'll put them all blitzes on there, but
yeah,
if it's front, it's like, hey, it's 4 guys. Like, hey, you go here, let's move, let's go. Like I don't need to change every front. So yeah.
The other thing I started doing too, and I think like the kids understood it better because obviously like they play Madden, so they relate to how it looks, I guess, is I started instead of drawing like the safety playing deep half, I drew a circle. You know, on huddle you can draw the ovals and stuff. So I drew a circle over that safety in the half of the field.
Yeah.
And they were like, Coach Rapp, this looks like Madden. And I'm like, good. So you understand it better.
Yeah.
But I used to have it to where, you know, like the line and he's getting off the hash and all that stuff. And I would put notes in and all that. And they were like, it's just so much easier when you just draw the circle. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that too. So I was doing like the line,
yeah,
whatever. Yeah, I ain't do that.
And you can obviously you can adjust the circle to be like a perfect circle or like more of an oval. So if we're playing a cover 3 team, then I can draw like a real skinny one for the deep third for the corners and all that. And honestly, in my opinion, it goes faster too. You know, it's easier to do that than draw the lines because you know I'm so OCD. Like the angles got to be perfect and all that stuff. So
yeah,
the circle I don't care as much for some reason. So that's just me.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up one of our call sheets, and this was when we were at North Rowan. If you'll here we go, maybe there we go. So this is simple. Like we would have a 10 play script, left hash and right hash, and the way we would do it, these players just flipped for the most part. So if we start out with first play, it's on left hash, we'll call this play. If we go, it's to the right hash now. We'll just go down to number 2 on the right hash. That's if you want to stay on script. You don't have to, but these are just base runs, and it's a lot of words in here. So we would put different colors in the middle to be like, hey, this is what we want. This is what we like. Obviously, the top stuff's gonna be more of what we liked that week. If we like things by formation with the tight end, these are tight end formations. Like those are what those are base passes, and then we have a drive plan. If it came to that, then you can have more of your down and distance stuff. So like 30 short, medium, long shots, goal line, run and pass on the goal line, 2-point play, your red zone stuff, and then like your big packages and stuff like that. And then you can have your back of the sheet stuff, which is different. This is what we did a little bit last year for the load. All right. So I would sort it by plays. So power, sweep, counter, my passes very much, and my motion plays as well. And then I have it on here. This is Walkertown. This is old stuff from North Rowan. His Amari balls. Amari was one of our really, really good receivers that went to Lenore Ryan. So yeah,
Kill the
plays
ball.
for him.
Right.
Give him the ball. So that's something I want to show on here. If you have a dude, give him his own section.
Have a plan to get him the ball.
How are you going to move him around, stuff like that, and then you need to call and quarterback runs. You need that do that. Like I said, 2-point play shots, and then you can do it by formations. Like Trick was a formation for us. Trey, obviously, so either you can do it by play and put all your formations in, or you can do it by formation and put all your plays in. However, your philosophy is with it, rock it. But I've never been a big like some people are like, oh, this is my first and 10, first and median, first.
I don't think like that. I can't do it.
No, I'm not that analytical and data driven where I'm sitting there with my play call sheet and being like, now what's the down distance? All right, now what's the hash? Okay,
right.
now what's the time on the clock? Like, no,
right.
Like, yeah.
Now there's a lot of times for me, like throughout the course of a game, where I'm asking what the down and distance is.
Yeah,
but it doesn't come down to like a section on my call sheet where I'm like, okay, I know I should call this because I'm so big on like the flow of the game and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't know.
So with you script, correct or no?
I script, but for me it's not, and it's hard for me to explain it because everybody's like, okay, I'm going to script the first 15 plays, I'm going to script the first 10, I'm going to do this, and these are the plays that I'm going to call no matter what. For me, my script is more of like a reminder. Yeah. Now, 99% of the time, my first play on my script is going to be the first play that I'm going to call in the game.
Yeah.
Barring, obviously if something crazy happens, we return a kickoff for, whatever, and it goes from 1st and 10 to 1st and 5, and we're on the 5-yard line. For the most part, it's just like, hey, don't forget to call this kind of thing. Now there's games where I've gone exactly through that script, but the majority of the time I'm not calling the game in that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So that was next question I was going to have is, how much do you stick to it? How much do you deviate? Do you come back to it? So if it's more of a reminder than answer the question. I know some guys are like, hey, this is my call. This is my script. This is what we've worked all week. I've scouted this. This is what's really good against this defense, and we're going to work down this script. If we go 5 plays and all right, then we'll pick up from 6 and keep going.
Right.
I've seen that. That's a little more technical. I mean, that works for some people. That's awesome. I'm more like you. It's more of a reminder. It's more like, hey, we repped this one play. I knew this was gonna be good. Where is it? Oh, it's right here. So right. It might be in my call sheet down here, but I know, hey, these are the ones that we need to get to.
Right.
So
I think because my thing is like, and I always think different scenarios, right? Like, okay, so say you call something safe first play of the game, right? And it hits for 30. You mean to tell me you're not going to run that play again? Or, say the third play of the game, their starting corner, who's a really good player, gets hurt and they put in a backup that's like 4'5" or whatever. Like, you're not going to take a shot.
Yeah.
That's my thought process with it, is like, it's good if you're that disciplined, I guess it would be the best way to put it. I'm not like that mentally disciplined and to be able to stick to that first 10 plays no matter what.
Yeah. So you want to put the play, that you want to call first at the top. What? Just gonna put you on the spot. And I know this is the counterculture podcast, so you don't have to say it's counter if it's not. But let's just say more often than not, what is your first play? And this is more of a get inside the mind of your play calling. Is there emotion on it? Is there a trade? Sort of a shift? Is it, like whatever, it's your bread and butter, you're going to go to this play to start. What is it usually? It might change week to week, but what are you usually calling?
It's either some kind of quick game like slant flat, or it's inside zone with emotion, or something to where worst case scenario we can get back to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
I think the first play. Now, there's been times where we're running 4 verticals the first play of the game. If I'm feeling real crazy that week, but
Yeah.
for me, 90%, 99% of the time, I don't want to call something that's going to give whatever team we're playing like a ridiculous amount of momentum on the first play of the game.
Yeah.
And I watched some college games. And I'm just like, these guys are throwing post dig on the first play of the game, and I'm just like, I don't have the ability to do that. And I think too the reason behind it is because there's so many times that we go into games, for lack of a better way to say it, blind on what the defense is going to do, to where I need something where I can get in a lot of the time like a base easy formation, run inside zone with an RPO. Theoretically speaking, we should be right. And make sure that what we saw on film or figure out what they're going to do so we can plan accordingly. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty basic when it comes to that. I'm pretty basic.
As much as we love counter is a counter.
Now, don't think that I won't encounter the second play of the game.
Oh, of course. I mean, but to me, counter is not the first play you're going to call. Like, it can be. Right. Any play could be the first play you call. But to me, I'm going to run power first and see how we're feeling. And then you want to bring counter. Because, like I said, it is a counter. And you see how are they flowing. Do you think you can trick their eyes and get them going get them going one way and come back the other with the counter? So I have to say we don't have love for counter because we see the name of the podcast.
We love that more than anything.
Exactly. So obviously you
what do you got? What are you saying? I mean, what's your philosophy on first play of the game, or even first play of the half for that matter?
Yeah, I'm gonna run power. Yeah, I'm gonna see. We're gonna see if you want to tackle tonight.
Right.
Now, we ran a lot of power because it's kind of what we could do. So we ran a lot of power, and if in the perfect world, if I had, let's say at North Carolina, right? So we would run power and counter and inside zone to fill out our team, and then we would come with our quick stuff, stick, snag, stuff like that. Trying to read, outside linebackers, but we also had number 4, which was Amari, so we could take our shots.
Right.
What I was going to ask you is, are you of the philosophy of sudden change, take a shot, or something create some type of momentum after like you recover a fumble or get a pick?
Not always.
Yeah.
To me, it's kind of how the game's going.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I've started to get more where like my thought process has kind of switched that way. There's times where we'll recover a fumble or, whatever, we'll get a turnover and we'll go play action and throw 4 verticals or post dig or whatever the case is. But looking back, and I try to have like in the back of my mind an idea of what I called in some situations. Obviously, I don't have a memory that I can remember everything, but I try to have an idea in the back of my mind of like, okay, 3rd and 5 last week. I know they have this film. We threw or ran whatever, right? So I try to be able to break tendencies like while they're happening.
Yeah.
But for the most part, when we get the ball back, it's really going to depend on where we're at. If I got a trick play that I feel real good about that week and say we're on like the plus 40, we'll probably throw it and or run it and see what happens. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, not really. I don't know how many real shot plays that we actually have. And it's not because we can't throw them. I just don't know, how comfortable we are with a lot of that stuff, if that makes sense. What about you? Are you like trying to grab momentum in that way?
If we can, if you have the guy that could do it, yeah. When we were at North, we did. take the shot. They're down more often than not. They're probably either trying to pick up the guy that fumbled or made a turnover, or
Right.
they're down on him. So like that's just high schoolers, right?
Yeah,
So
no doubt.
take advantage of that, especially if they have to play both ways at our levels.
If
So
they gotta play both ways, you better find them and you better do something. There's no
yeah,
doubt about that.
because either he's sulking or they're trying to encourage him. Either way, his mind's not on playing this next play. So yeah,
Right.
attack him for sure. And even just a simple RPO on him,
Right.
just make him wrong. So then if he makes the wrong decision and you still throw it and everybody knows it's on him, that's double him making a mistake, and
Right.
then he don't check out, especially if he's a
Right.
good player on the other side of the ball.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No, I
definitely.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So yeah, when you are, let's talk about goal line stuff.
Okay.
And I know kind of talking about play calling now, but it all goes to part of the game planning and kind of what you see. Being O line guys, this is my philosophy. I want to get big. So whether it be a six lineman or just tight ends, right on H backs, whatever. Are you we'll do this two questions. One, do you like to get bigger personnel, or do you like stay with what you normally do? Don't change it up. And then second, do you like pulling linemen on the goal line? So
Absolutely. We definitely pull linemen on the goal line.
okay, okay,
Now if we're on like the -1, no, we're not pulling
yeah,
anybody.
yeah,
If we're going in, yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
I'm a big counter guy on the goal line.
yeah.
Now as far as bringing in extra linemen, to be quite honest with you, we don't have very many.
Yeah.
So we put in a new formation this year that I absolutely love, that I really want to make it our base stuff, but we just haven't. It's two back with a H back.
Okay,
And we treat it the same as everything else. And I just tag everything for the H back.
okay,
So we'll still zone read it, or we'll still read the backside DN on everything. We'll either send the H back across to kick on like inside zone, or we'll arc them. Um, we'll down block. I mean, we have different tags to be able to get a different look, but really trying to manipulate the D end or the C gap defender or whatever you want to call them into doing something so we can kind of determine who's going to carry the football.
yeah,
Um, there were things that we did last year that nobody ever picked up on, which was amazing to me, is we would literally shift our quarterback over and put our running back at quarterback,
yeah,
because everybody's going to sit at D end and make you hand the ball off. So I started saying, well, we don't got to worry about it anymore. We'll just put the quarterback out there and let him run, and he's going to sit make you pull the ball. I'm sorry, squeeze. And then now we got the running back who's playing quarterback now carrying the football.
yeah,
So, nobody ever shifted or did anything to it. But it really depends. We got into a lot of, I don't even know we call it toss. It's reading the backside DN, but with like a toss action like Clemson used to do with like
yeah,
Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence and them. I don't know if
yeah,
they still do it or not. I don't watch them a ton. But I run that with quarterback counter going back a ton on the goal line.
yeah,
And a lot of the times we do well with it. Um, I love throwing mesh on the goal line. Well, our
yeah,
version of mesh. I know we've talked
yeah,
about mesh before, but the way that we run mesh, I love running mesh on the goal line. I love running slant wheel with the wheel coming out of the backfield. Um,
okay,
it really just depends. There were situations this year where we couldn't put two running backs in the game because one of them was hurt or whatever the case was. So all those things for me go into it. But I think a lot of the time we're probably going to get in that, I guess you could call it 21 personnel, but it's not like I formation 21 personnel.
yeah,
Um, and we're gonna mess with people and try and determine who's carrying the football. But that's just us, you know.
Yeah. I'm pulling this up because you said it, so I just want to pull this up, and it's against Salisbury, so I gotta hate on them real quick. So okay, so this is just counter with that toss.
This is a great play. I love it.
So we're gonna run counter. Yes, yeah. So we're running counter left, and we're gonna read the D end. So the running back's gonna go wide, and then we're running counter right there.
There it goes.
Yeah, it's a great play. And it's really a good change up. It's a good change up to running back.
Agreed.
Because you can run if he's on the running back's on the right side, and he's running bash this way, and we're running counter here, and the quarterback's going to get here and go there. Then you can just be like, all right, they're like, okay, if he's the running back's on the right, they're going to run counter to the defense's left. Like, all right, so now the running back's over here. Well, let's just run toss, bash.
Right.
That's all it is. And then they're still going here, and then the quarterback's going there. So yeah, it's a great change up, counter, variation, stuff like that. So, and then I had a show we ran on Salisbury. So anyway, but yeah, love it.
Yeah, our kids were actually able to pick it up pretty quick too. I also think that the read is so much cleaner for the quarterback because when the running back is getting depth and really flying out, the DN, if he's taking the running back, he's got to go right now. There's no time to sit and chill, and what we started to do too, because we kind of got into a situation where when we were in bunch and trips, we were running toss a lot. And that was a good play for us. So my counter, I guess, to that was we're on the toss action and counter back. And that kind of helped us break tendencies and stuff like that too. But I remember watching Clemson run that. I don't remember when it was, but years ago, and I was like, man, I definitely want to be able to run that play. And I felt like it was something that we didn't have to overcoach. Quarterback is running, we're reading the toss, and if he keeps the ball, we're running counter. If he doesn't, we're getting the ball on the edge. But we started running power read with that too. And we don't run much like base power. We're a pretty big power read team last year, more so than the year before for sure. But if we're running like actual power, I tag it to where we're in two back and the place our running back will kick out the place ID in, and everything else is the same. But yeah, I don't know. I felt like we didn't really have the guys to be able to say like we're coming at you.
Yeah.
I think we're kind of leaning towards that way over the next couple of years, which will be fun. But yeah, I never thought the last 2 years that we've been like in a situation up front where we can just be like, okay, we're just gonna blow up this double team and we're gonna block everything back and we're just gonna blow up, But
yeah, I'm gonna use this as kind of a whiteboard real quick. So I know I've had guys being like, how do you drill all this stuff? How do you have time for it? Well, all these variations. Well, to me, the read game, there's 3 reads, okay? And I'm calling what I call them. There's zone read, where the running back is hitting here, and quarterback's gonna read whoever this guy is, right? It's straight downhill, you're reading this outside. And then there's the people call it veer read, whether it's the running back's going here, and then the quarterback's going to read a play side guy, and then you're going to go back the other way. And then there's your toss stuff. Toss there, you press the speed option. Okay, those are the 3 we do with read: zone read, your veer read, which is like just inverted, and then you got your speed option stuff.
Right.
That goes with everything. Like Coach was just saying, power read, It's the same read as Bash. Your speed option is the same read as your toss power read, and it's the same thing as your toss quarterback counter. Then you have inside zone read. It's the same thing. You can read the same thing on the backside of counter. So you're not having to read. You're having to do a bunch of different stuff because it's three different reads. And you do it in your indie. We used to call it tracks.
Yeah.
You used to do tracks every day with quarterbacks, running backs. Like it's all this is your handoff period. You do your normal handoffs and you do your read stuff. There's only three of them. So yeah, keep it super simple like that, and it's not really not that expensive.
Yeah, I think it. For me, I don't feel like it's really something. Like you said, we go through in our pre-practice where we're running all of it. I literally call a play. We'll be in our 10 personnel stuff. We'll jump into 20 personnel. We'll go 20 personnel with the H-back, and I signal it, and we run it every single day through the whole summer, through the whole season, all that. And it gets to the point where it's like second nature, obviously, which is what you want. But then, obviously there's things at the summer towards the end of the season where you may see on film that you start to pick up on, and now's your time to be able to address that as well without having to take team time or inside run or anything like that. So, we'll spend 5 minutes doing that, and we'll run almost everything in that 5 minutes towards the end of the season because they're so used to it. We're snapping a ball, we're running it, we're riding the fake, we're pulling the ball, whatever. And it's just like this the whole time. But yeah, I definitely, that's one of the things that we started doing a lot this year was really repping the backfield action of everything. All of our reads, all of our tags to our run game stuff, all that.
Yeah. So one thing I will say, because we got to wrap it up because we're coming over a little bit over an hour. It's the one thing I'll say. Last thing I'll say about this stuff is you need. I think, in my opinion, you need more 10 personnel runs. Not everything can be inside zone read, and you can't RPO every single thing. Some people do, which is fine. If you can RPO things, that's fine. But to me, especially when you're 10 personnel, you got to be able to run these different read plays and get variations.
Question. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so because some people are like, we run inside zone read, and that's their only 10 personnel read. Well, that's the biggest tendency, that anybody could ever have. Oh, well, it's 10 personnel. They're going to pass it or they're going to run zone.
Yeah.
Well, you better be able to do those different types of things.
I think you got to be able to have you got to be able to run everything same side too.
Yeah.
Again, not knowing how people are going to line up sometimes. First couple plays of the game, we may call something, and I'm yelling from the sideline, flip it, or we signal it like one signal means we're running the same side, and the quarterback and the running back adjust, and the O-line doesn't have to. So that's something also that I think a lot of people I didn't do previously was rep stuff same side counter has always been a struggle for me to be able to get the timing of it. So one thing when we were at the Eastern North Carolina clinic, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was hilarious and he did a really good job on his talk. I can't remember his name, but I went up to him after. And I was like, man, y'all run same side counter, and it is beautiful. How do you teach a running back? So we're going to try and do it the way that he said. But it was tough because I feel like a lot of the times, depending on who we have in the game, the running back hits counter a little quick for me. But I think this is going to be the winner to where we're going to be able to run at same side and not look like fools. Because there was times last year where I was just like, look, don't go until you see the tackle's butt, and it would wind up where my running back is just like standing there waiting for the ball, waiting for the tackle to go. So if this wins, then I'll be very, very happy because I tell the kids all the time, if you ask them, I literally yell probably once a week, I would love to just be able to run same side counter before I die, just one time and make it look right. So, yeah, but if we can do that one, I'll be a happy man. But I think same side, and then you have to have different ways to read different defenders in 10 personnel for sure. If not, everybody can just tee off on you.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't just sit back there and throw whatever. And, that's another thing that we're working to this year is more play action stuff into our drop back pass game or our deep ball pass game, I guess I should say. So,
no doubt. Well, Coach, I think that's a wrap on the episode.
Episode 3.
3, man. I don't want to say it's crazy because I don't think it is, but it is fun. And we say it every single time. But hey, we could have kept going because we're talking ball now.
Yeah. The first real episode of us actually talking football.
Yeah.
I feel like we've kind of touched it here and there, the first 2, but I feel like this one was really about football. So it was fun. Yeah. There's no doubt about that.
No doubt. Yeah, man. So if you enjoyed this podcast, make sure that you like and you comment and you subscribe to the channel. I have had some people ask, hey, are you going to put it on on podcast platforms? I'm thinking about it, guys. It's more work. It's just an extra step to do that. And I have no problem doing that, especially if enough people that really want it. Let us know if you want just audio podcast form, like on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, whatever. And I can do that for sure.
Coach, that's all you. I don't have any idea how to do it.
I didn't. Hey. Yeah, your content, man. You are content.
Look, I thought like Apple or Spotify had to reach out to you to be able to do that. I was like, I had no clue.
No, you can literally take the audio. You just got to sign up and do it. 100%. So I can do that. It's not a big deal. Just if people want that. So I've already had like 2 people ask me. So if more people that do, I definitely will moving forward. But yeah, man. Super Bowl is this weekend. National Signing Day was today, technically. It was a couple of days ago if you're watching this. So it was a Super Bowl. Hopefully you're watching this and the 49ers won, is what it is.
I'll be fine with that. I would be fine with that.
Yeah. Coach, any final thoughts before we let everybody go and wrap it up?
As we say, keep learning, keep doing it for the kids.
Yeah, man. Hey, make sure that's the biggest thing. I say on most of my videos I put out, make sure you're doing it for the kids. Because that's why we're here. Because if you're not doing it, then you're just trying to boost your own ego, and I don't have time for those type of coaches. So make sure you're trying to mentor somebody before you leave this rock. With that being said, I'm Coach Tam. That's Coach Rapanick. Counterculture Podcast, Episode 3. We're out.
The balloons, where do they come from?
I have no clue. That was really random. But anyway, so then y'all got some balloons from Coach Rapanick. So see y'all next week.